I'd first of all say that the change is one that is welcome if you're looking at the industry as a whole and if you're really concerned about having true and driving reform. You've probably picked one of the really, really pressing issues, which is the issue of theft. But the problem of theft is actually symptomatic of a deep malaise. And what I'd first like to do is comment on the board itself and say that a positive thing about the board is that they're all individually very stellar people in their own rights. They're all private industry people who have achieved a lot in their different ways. And so if you're specifically asking me about what they're going to do to curb the theft in the Niger Delta, I would say, well, it's up to them to find out. But if you're thinking of people that will have ideas and be able to do something that is significant, I would say that this board will definitely be in a position to do that. But there's a lot that it's being asked to do. Yeah, go on.
Fantastic. Since you think that the board, made up of people who have what it takes, what kind of strategies do you think will be implemented, to attract more foreign investment and reverse investor apathy caused by high development costs and community conflicts in Nigeria's upstream sector?
Well, again, I think that the question you're probably asking me is a question that you should ask the board, because the board is the one that is going to know that. But then again, if I concentrate on what the board is and I concentrate on what the reform was to do, I will say that for the first time, we now actually have something that is symptomatic of reform. We had Malam Kyari there for six years, and he was there. It's very rare, but in his own case, he was able to transit from being the head of a government-owned company into the head of the same company that was poised for reform. But that's a difficult sort of thing to happen. But what we now have is people who are in a position to do it. But what I just like to say, first of all, because I think that the business of the board is to bring out its own strategy. So whilst I'll say that it's a stellar board, it's a good board. Individually, they're good. There are just some little issues that I find quite interesting about the board. I find it very interesting that the GCEO was until today the chief operating officer of Renaissance, a company that's poised to take over the Shell assets. And I just wonder what the JV meetings will be like now that you have essentially, you're going to have in the short term 85% being, in a sense, controlled. People might argue that it will not be controlled, but there's a little bit of conflict. There's a little bit of conflict of interest there as regards that particular appointment. I'd maybe like to say some other things about the appointment. I'd say as well, it's a great board, but if you look at diversity, it's zero in diversity. There's one woman there. You always look at that in the world now. DEI is important. You have one female, you have the permanent secretary as the only female on the board. And then again, if you look at ethnicity, you have 4 Yoruba people out of 11 persons there. The GCU, the financial officer, the person, Dr. David Ige from the Southwest, and Dr. Motowa, who until today, I didn't know was from the North Central, but is a Yoruba person. So you have those different issues there. So individually, they're great. Together, I think there'll be a great mixture, but there are those issues that probably need to be looked at. So maybe asking me about what strategy they will take, I think it's their business to take a strategy, but I believe really that it is also their business to ensure that their strategy is in the interest of Nigeria. So it's not just about ramping up production.
All right. Professor Omorogbe, you're one of those who, formulated the petroleum industry bill before it was signed, and now it's an act. What would you expect the board to be doing that, at the moment, if you were to advise them?
It should be repositioning Nigeria to take up its place as a real giant in Africa. And I think they should be looking at Nigeria and NNPC now in the same way as they looked at their respective oil companies and were able to grow them. Some of them there are strong indigenous people and are strong voices in the industry, and some of them have been saying certain things consistently. David Ige has been talking gas for how long? So now he's there. We expect gas to move forward, and not just gas to be sold abroad, but gas here, because he was always talking about following the molecule, I can't remember whatever. So we want to see the molecules in Nigeria. We want to see the industry making a difference to Nigeria and Nigerian development. So individually, they've been able to work. Mr. Vuru has been very, very vocal over the years.
All right.
So this is a great opportunity to walk his talk. And for all of them. So I believe that we should see a lot. Even Bello Rabi, all of them.
All right.
They're stellar individuals in their own right.
Thank you very much. Of course, Nigerians are optimistic that this new board will bring the much-needed change. Many thanks, Professor Yinka Omorogbe, SEN, for joining us on News Extra tonight. We appreciate you for your insights.